Mustang. It's got that kind of raw finish to it. It's kind of rough. It's actually smoothed over just a little bit after an hour or two of playing. I want to get it like this. Amber in color. More of a gloss, maybe not this glossy. See how it turns out. And take off the strings, the tuners. See how it does. I'm gonna mix up some amber and some shellac. First I'm gonna do a little sanding just to give the shellac a little tooth to bite onto, something to hold onto so that it won't you know, bonds well. Anyways, I want to have a real good bond. That's those coming off, no big of a deal. We'll take the neck off. Not too worried about stripping these heads, but just to be careful, I'll start with manually. Yeah, that one was pretty tight. Heard a crunch. Ooh, that one's really tight. We're gonna sand it a little bit. I've got 400 grit. And this is, you know, might see some marks where it got bumped. Can ease the edges while I'm at it right here. I can see there's some greenish blue spots right there. Right here, there's some discoloration. Maybe some ink or something got on there. 400 grit's not taking that off. You know, it might take the ink off. The sticker's gonna come off. I don't want to put a clear coat over this stupid sticker. Okay, so now, because there's some sticker residue and there was some ink, I got acetone. Acetone's pretty rough stuff. It's might not want to use it on any kind of finished wood, but since this appears to be raw wood, see if it gets the ink off. Can't say for sure that's ink, but it kind of looks the same color as the little stamp they use, this bluish green. Betcha that's what that is. Get most of this off with my thumbnail. I'll get a little acetone, and that's good and cleaned off now. Some little dirt marks and things. There's that ink again. 320 got rid of the ink. I guess Mr. Ink Stamp guy got a little sloppy. He transferred it onto his hands or whatever, and he take the camera on down to the garage and show you the spray process. I'm going to use these Prevail sprayers that are very convenient, but I'm also, because I only want to mix up a very small batch of amber, and that's because shellac has a shelf life. And the Prevail sprayers, I have to mix up quite a bit of it to get the siphoning action going, like half a cup or something. But to use it in a airbrush, I only need to mix up a couple tablespoons of color, and it really end up throwing a lot away if I use a Prevail sprayer. There we go. See how it hangs there? Got it up there on the outside of the garage door rail so that I can use the garage door anytime. Alright. This shellac is already has an amber color to it. but it's not amber enough to make a difference, a noticeable difference. Here is the amber stain. Vintage amber, they call it. I'm going to give it 4 drops. Notice I have these these little dropper bottles all over the place. These sweet drops. It's sweet leaf sweetener. I saved those. CBD oil comes in those. Vape juice comes in those. I gotta get a stir. I'll stir it up. Let's see what kind of color. Be nice. Oh yeah, it's kind of yellow looking, but that's on white. Put it on that beige, that blush colored wood, it'll look different. It'll look more orange. Alright, so it's going to go in here. This is the suction tube for the airbrush. Alright, I gave 4 more drops of this amber. Very nice. Shellac dries so quick. I'm going to give it a minute. Yeah, put in a couple more drops of amber and 1 drop of Kalamazoo brown. There we go. There, see a little more color happening there. Very nice. Got there, I think. My color. I'll continue with the clear lacquer. I mean the clear shellac. That's all that's left of my color. And here's my clear shellac, which has an amber color, so it's going to continue to darken as I spray. Alright, now I'm done with the air compressor. I'm going to use the Prevail sprayer. And there's my clear shellac. Probably going to run out, but let's see how far I get. I think I'll start up here. Real light coat. I want it to drip. If it starts dripping, I gotta hold it in a way where it won't drip. I wanted to say that when you're using shellac and you've done a color coat and you're gonna spray that first coat of clear, it's got to go on really, really light because the new coat will react with the color coat and dissolve it slightly. So if you go on a little too heavy, you're looking for trouble. It'll start pooling up and it'll leave you little like rings, little small spots, little circular spots that look horrible, and it you'll have to resand it and sand it all off and start over. So I'm talking just like done. That first coat is just kind of just a powder coat. Oh, trust me, I've screwed up several coats of shellac. But I like working with it, and I won't stop working with it unless something better comes along. To a method that seems to work pretty good. Come down like that, both sides. And then what I'm able to do after a minute, let me grab it real quick. I can hold it by this without touching anything I just sprayed. Alright, so I'm not touching anything. And I can go ahead, I can grab it like this because we'll never see this area if there's a fingerprint or a latex thumbprint there, no big deal. I did see it's still sticky. But now that I've sprayed the back side, I can hold it by the eye screw and spray the front. And that's about enough. Each coat's just a very light coating. That's good. And I'm going to run out of this after another 3 or 4 coats. So I might go in. Got a whole 800 grit. Try to knock off the orange peel. Kind of smooth it out a little bit without removing any of the color. Careful around the edges. Pretty smooth. I'll continue around this side. Now that it's sanded down, I've got this lighter colored shellac called Platinum. I've got a little pad. Usually put a drop of linseed oil on it for lubrication. And then what they call charging the pad. Go ahead and put a good amount of shellac on it. And I'm just going to wipe. I want to get a little more wet as the may have dried out a little bit. Probably won't be able to see it go down this very first coat. After about 5 coats, you'll start to kind of notice it. Around the edge. Then I still have the hook on there. I'm going to hold on to that hook as I wipe. Feel that it's going on kind of dry. Get a little extra. The thing about French polishing is you don't want to stop once you get it on there. You want to keep it moving the whole time. It'll leave a funny mark and then you'll have to let it dry and sand it off. It's about the 9th coat. I'm going to do like one more coat and I'll be waiting for it to dry for 5-6 hours. And later tonight I'm gonna burnish it, which is rubbing it real fast. The other way I could do this is to have just sprayed and sprayed and sprayed like 10 coats of shellac, and then wait about 3 days and wet sand and polish it all. But this traditional method is called French polish, and I'm doing it the next day after that, spraying the color and all. I kind of like it because it lays on the finish nice. It doesn't waste any of the finish. When you spray it on real thick and you sand it, wet sand it, you sand off the majority of it, and that's wasted material. And I can get a nice, pretty high gloss finish by burnishing. So one more coat and then I'll let her cure for 6 hours. All right, I waited about 12 hours now for the burnishing part of the experiment. A little bit of oil. So what I'm going to do is start off with a pad that's pretty dry. Just put like 1 drop, 2 drops of shellac and start rubbing it on. And what's going to happen is it's going to heat up. The shellac is going to be gone in a few seconds, and it'll just be moving the stuff around and polishing it smooth. So I start just by going across and lifting it up, pushing it down. And then I start to, you can start to feel it getting smooth. Go across. Go this way again. Start doing some circles. So now to wipe off the oil, take a cheap paper towel, not the expensive linen type, just a few drops of denatured alcohol. Just get that oil off of there. And we're ready to go. Really don't mind if there's a little oil on it, but wouldn't mind oiling this up a little bit. Now it's the next day. Yeah. See where I'm at here. Can you see the gloss? This is, I didn't do any wet sanding or polishing in the normal way you would do it with lacquer and stuff. I just burnished it and so here you go, Danish oil and shellac French polish. I'll be able to put it back together tomorrow. It'll look pretty cool. Getting things back in place. Gonna be straining it up with these Pro Steels. Scratch that about the denatured. it didn't get the residue off very good. Naphtha does get it off pretty good. But look, I'm noticing this one's completely on crooked. And finally, 129 bones. And they put one of the tuners on crooked. Totally crooked. Look at that. Look at that one. It's the G string. And that's just awful. Get all these. I stood it upright and dropped one little drop of denatured alcohol. That's a 4mm wrench. I measured it and put a little identifier marking on there before I stashed it. Well, that's not very tight. I'm actually thinking I might tighten it while I'm going at it, because I think they had 9s on it from the factory, and it usually loosens a little in transit. So just slight tightening of the truss rod before I string it up. And I'll check it again when after a day or two after it's strung up, I'll check the truss rod again in the relief. Here it is side by side with the Jaguar factory polyurethane. Very slick. And there's my hand rub shellac. Not as sticky and glossy. I don't think this is actually sticky. It could get sticky. Anyways, I added a drop of brown. I should have added 2. But either way, it's nice. Looks good.